Ansary here for June 9th, 2017. Coming to you from somewhere out there in southwest Colorado on a full moon. And on this full moon, and I've noticed this before, heightened perceptions arise in insane behavior, not limited to racism. It's across the board, something that I'm well aware of. And being somewhat isolated from society, I'm somewhat isolated from distractions from my work and the things that I look at. So even though I'm off the grid, one could even say I'm overexposed to certain types of information. Coming up on the 1-year anniversary of being where I am, now 37 years old, been involved in this thing called the independent media for 12 years. I've ridden the highs and lows, and it seems at times more lows than highs. I've narrated how I've seen rhetoric on the internet explode and go to a level in the last few years that I didn't even see after 9/11, and how there is, and I can feel it, and I can feel it within my body, and I speculate whether the form that I made in the image of, so to speak, and tapping into the fear that others are feeling around the world that are fearing the possibility of being targeted by white supremacists. I feel their fear. I feel great sadness that there's so much denial that these things are taking place. It's something that I struggle with daily, and I seek to find the strength to not only carry on, but to go much further. I look at the things that others are going through, single mothers in the city today, facing homelessness, no-cause evictions. I study Portland, Oregon in particular. Why? Because I was born there. That's where I came out of a woman. That's where I lived in a vehicle for a year. That's where I was on Access TV for 10 years. That's where I did dope for a few years prior to going on Access TV, those dark ages of the late 1990s. But also the spiritual insights of the early 2000s, as it seemed that my path aligned. And for a period, I was on a particular path, and then there was another time, some of you know about the years of travel, another time came for me to begin anew. And it's not easy to go your own way. And the society has found ways to keep people within the confines of the insane asylum. And what I am doing is I am watching what is happening to people that have been caught inside the insane asylum. And it hurts. And I'm not the only one that sees two gangs fighting. When Portland Antifa meets the Trump supporters. I didn't pick an easy lifetime. I don't like the question, what is my ethnicity? I feel alone in this environment. I feel like my 1 acre of my property is really the only place for me in this particular county and area. And so it hurts, and I'm grateful for the experience. Coming up on the 1-year anniversary, specifically on the 11th of June. And knowing that I'll have something that I'm going to own one day. And perhaps I will have much more time ahead to enjoy some of the basic freedoms of life. That seem to be freedoms that seem to be dwindling by the day. Despite the pain and sense of alienation, I know I live in a world between ages. We can look at this more than one way. An age going from analog to digital, and the positive applications, though, of reaching you, for example, from where I live in remote rural America, right, during these particular days that we're in with so much disinformation surrounding all of us. I want to be a conduit for truth and reach people that are in desire of the information that I have to share with you. The outside the box perspectives and experiences that I as a soul inside these this combination of genetics. At the same time, it's a time of great mind control where the same technology is used to put people under a spell, to bear false witness against thy neighbor, to call an invasion, to cry wolf, to numb the men and women of today's day and age after they burn others out through adrenal fatigue, setting them on wild goose chases for non-existent Sharia law and other forms of invasion, a complete misunderstanding about other cultures, a complete misunderstanding about how the media is playing the left and the right, and they're controlling both groups. As we see Antifa mimic what they see on CNN from Kathy Griffin, as we see people mimic the behavior of Alex Jones and the talking points of Donald Trump, we see now the power of technology to mesmerize, to put under mind control, and hold them under a spell with the use of that technology and the smartphones. And see people criticizing the media as they play propaganda, useful idiots, in their own little corner of the alternative media. Just shake my head. At times, the pants are so big, it seems, or shoes to fit into, to be an off-grid voice of reason. I sometimes wonder whether I can even do it. I question myself. I doubt myself. I sit in my pain. I walk in circles around the land, around this cabin, trying to find the strength as I bring myself back to a place of greater sanity. As I breathe air that is not contaminated, even if they were geoengineering earlier in the day. I look towards the future, and I hope to see a day where these types of witch hunts, under the guise of Islamophobia, but really a deeper, deep-seated form of racism, it's really coming from an evil place. And it's not easy to go through an experience to where you see that and you speak of it, and others, including minorities, deny that there's something organized about this. As they also go on their witch hunts for the conspiracy theorists, they forget to see the conspiracy right in front of their nose with regards to how the people have been divided. It weighs on me to feel that I have this knowledge and that I can see it. All I can do right now, instead of scream and jump and shout, is to express that to you as calmly as I can on tonight's broadcast, on tonight's full moon, that it's like there are no lies. That there is no confusion that I feel. What's going on? What is this? No, I see what this is. I want to know, not how long has this been going on? Is this going to be going on for the rest of my life? What does this mean on a much deeper level? How do we end up in these lifetimes where we experience that level of emotional terrorism? What's your ethnicity? And just knowing that the answer has a charge to it. But only so many people are going to understand that. I'm not the only human going through that. I wish people of different perceived ethnicities I like the word, prefer the word ethnicity to race, and perhaps it's not the most refined word. I've come to understand, though, that there is somewhat of a mistake in even answering half Afghan. On a personal note, I'm just going to say that briefly, being that Afghanistan is an actual country. Ansary and its ethnicity and its history, is a little bit more specific. The problem is, this is like the greatest deception of this time-space reality, the solution of separation. And what about the different ethnicities that we're made with? There's not only the father, but there's the mother, but both the father and the mother have grandparents. Someone could appear a certain way. Someone could have a certain type of skin tone or melatonin amount combined with other features. And I'll tell you what, it is not easy to be a Middle Eastern male that is on his own in just about every way that you can describe. So there's challenge and there's beauty in these different things and experiences. Coming up on the 1-year anniversary, what could I really say about it? How long could I go on about it? It's had its ups and it's had its downs. But it's been the longest period in which I've been able to stay at the same place. Seems like I've left behind, one day a book will be more detailed, a lifetime of a very nomadic experience. I certainly don't want to remain here forever, but I certainly don't want to be parked in an RV or a van at a rest home, at a national forest, outside someone else's home. I consider my lifetime to be somewhat gifted. Privilege isn't the right word. Luck isn't the right word. Blessed would be an appropriate word. In some ways, I felt watched over and protected. Like everything is going according to divine plan. And that's whether I know it or not. I suspect a lot of Muslims right now that are seeing the fear, that they're feeling that their faith is being tested. And I would say that that's an understatement. I would also say that religious programming can be a hindrance. And that includes other belief systems that may not be seen as religions, but they may have rigid belief systems that seem to include being externally saved. And I don't really think that is the purpose of life. I believe self-responsibility is like at the core of what we have to look at with regards to our own lives and how we evolve beyond this type of a world. And that's where I take it. And that's the place that I live in. There's a lot of information out there. People, if they just really want to start changing the world, they can start doing it yesterday. Open up their heart on one level, on an energy level, being more empathetic, being more compassionate, educating themselves about countries and people they know nothing about, looking at perhaps, the Middle East from a non-perspective other than looking for radical Islam, but trying to understand the region. And maybe they can understand that there are funnels and paths in which radical Islam has been funded, in which it does not represent the entirety of the history of the world. By that thinking alone, one could also adopt racist views to all white people. That's also a trap. But an argument could be made, not an argument that I agree with, but an argument that's already been made. An argument against white women procreated that's already been made. I don't agree with it, but I hear it and I see it and it's increasing. As in recent days, it increases. It increases. The amount of people calling for a Islamic genocide, a culling of Muslims, which they're describing as a race. Can you tell me that you're looking left, right, and they're talking about your kind being cold, removed from the planet? Can you tell me that? So it's not something that everybody is going through, but it's something that more people could go through in the future, because it's like that saying, first they came for the Jews, and I said nothing. Then they came for this group, and I said nothing. Then they came for me, and there was no one to speak up for me because they were already gone. And the same thing is happening. I see them play this up, this card, this fake Islamic invasion card, and I see that it works, and then they flip around, and they have, but it's because they groomed these individuals through the mind control, and CNN is responsible as well. That Muslim terrorists, Islamic extremists. So you have a mind-controlled, almost MK Ultra-like, good old boy, Al-Qaeda, you lost. Ban them all. And all they're doing, monkey see, monkey do. The internet, it's like the internet was weaponized against them. And now that people are starting to speak in a particular way, and they're feeling more empowered. Yes, let's just speak in a chorus. All Muslims are secretly here to promote Sharia law. They're dangerous. We have to ban them all. Mass deportation. Concentration camps. The topic is trending. Concentration camps for immigrants. Also uploading a video of the black supremacists, blaming white people for allowing other ethnicities to live in their neighborhoods. I mean, that's... And see, I can't shake it, and I can't be silent. I keep thinking about, it's not about white supremacy per se, or black supremacy, or Hispanic supremacy. It's about those Hispanics, blacks, whites, Asians, others, working together to suppress the people of the Middle East in their military endeavors as nation states, as warriors. Hispanic veterans, right? Coming back that have killed Afghanis and Iraqis, black veterans that have come back that have killed Afghanis and Iraqis, white veterans that have come back that have killed Iraqis and Afghanis, Native American veterans that are coming back that have killed Afghanis and Iraqis, and they're all fucked up from the experience, and they have brought demons back to this continent from their dark activities in the Middle East as their shock and awe campaign continues. Yeah, activating the spirits of Babylon, archonic entities, as they develop attachments to the veterans. And then we see a rise in hate crimes coming from veterans. It's as if it's been a ticking time bomb. As if they were only waiting for the sleeper agent keywords to be uttered by Alex Jones or Donald Trump. I don't see a society yet that has remorse for the dead. And a society that has no remorse for the dead, be it the Portland protesters or people in New York. I don't want to see them hurt, but nature is nature. You cannot stop nature. You cannot just simply believe in the law of attraction or the law of karma when it suits you in your belief system, when you're thinking about something that you want or someone that you want. The law of attraction is the law of attraction. What we focus on increases. There's been constant focus on death and destruction. World War III. Spending money that, this government can't pay its bills. It has an inevitable future waiting for it. And see, I've tried to warn the people of the country of my birth, despite what you've done to my father's country. You're still my country. You're still my planet. And I am still giving you information that is relevant to your life. They're going to use what America has done to the rest of the world against America. You know, you look at the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the SCO. And for years they've been building up and they've been countering the West more and more, and the BRICS, well, they have an anti-extremism conference. Oh yes, everybody's always thinking, oh no, it's just ISIS and Al-Qaeda. You just kind of get used to it. People don't realize they're being entrapped. They throw out the racism, they throw out years of propaganda and disinformation, and they manufacture terror events that people falsely believe are real. There's hundreds of events that I believe in reality have been fabricated. What's the point of even discussing those things? If discussing those things marks you as the conspiracy theorist. And by the way, in our day and age, people rather focus on Sandy Hook. People rather go in the direction of Pizzagate. Yeah, they care about those kids. And they find out that whole thing wasn't necessarily legit. What people believed. What was more likely disinformation. So I'm telling you, and I'm a pioneer in this with regards to the independent media, because alternative media has become a dirty word. People have hijacked alternative media and have turned it into a massive disinformation campaign. I'm talking about many people, right? And we're talking about high-level intelligence agencies, and on a level where China, Russia, and the U.S. probably work together, along with Israel. They're not really fighting. People follow up with this rhetoric and ban them all, and xenophobic this and ethnocentric this, and they don't realize they've been groomed by media outlets that they have trusted, including Alex Jones. And they have been groomed and radicalized, and so they can easily be put into an extremist box. And people aren't able to go, wait a minute, what if some powers that be above what we understand have planned this out and have mind-fucked the American people to dig their own grave? People can't connect the dots. They can criticize the internet handover, but they can't connect the dots with, wait a minute, what if AI, instead of being used to fight white supremacy and such language, has actually helped accelerate it? Not only in real paid trolls, either coming from an Asian country, Israel, United States, and or Russia, or a level above that which we would describe to be those nation states, along with bot-like activity, repeating the same words, repeating the same type of insults. And then, of course, there are human beings that are becoming bot-like, that are biological. They don't have a brain chip, but they are so infected by fake news that YouTube and Facebook promotes that they don't know what's real and what's not real. I don't know what it is. Is there genetic code? Is it some reptilian thing? There's obviously something inside the box about these individuals that in particular seem to have a false notion that there is such a thing as racial purity or superiority or inferiority. And I'm not the only person that has picked up on some of these individuals that are big time into promoting racial purity ideology, especially white supremacists. When you look at them and their behavior, they're anything but pure. Okay, they're anything but supreme or superior or hyper intelligent, and there is no such thing either here in the United States or anywhere on the world where there is a white utopia. And there's been plenty of time for there to be whites owning societies. It's been that way for a very long time. They have not been without their domestic violence. They have not been without their drug abuse. Okay, they have not been without their own trashy criminal elements. There wouldn't be police forces to begin with, or controllers with bats and or other weapons. And so you look at what people believe is a utopia. You look at what people believe is a mythological, pure European history that they would like to reclaim. There are people trying to take us into a world of darkness. We're already there. That we weren't in several decades ago. And as I sit and I walk and I pace back and forth in this cabin, I think a lot about Portland, the place that I was born in. Whether I want to think about it or not, whether I want to talk about it or not, it's on the table. Now, my father lived in Portland as someone that came to this country from Afghanistan in 1967. He lived in a different Portland, in a different time than a son would live in. And I want to look forward to the rest of my life. And I don't like thinking about certain possibilities. Or that artificial intelligence in the future is going to be used for a particular extermination purpose. But at the same time, bad things happen to good people. Whether that should alarm me or not. And it's difficult knowing that the higher way is just to go with it. Some things we don't understand. Everything happens for a reason. But do we understand what those reasons are? It certainly feels that there should be more community amongst us humans. And I don't feel it. But I feel that being silent about it isn't going to make it feel better or make it feel less painful. It will be discussed. The obvious solution to something like that is to maintain our humanity. To identify the ways in which they're trying to change us. That's a solution. And I shouldn't have to explain that. I shouldn't have to pause and explain what is the opposite of this evil. What is the opposite of these illusions of separation? What is the sound of one hand clapping? What is love? What is love? How do you describe love? How many paragraphs? How many different adjectives can you describe for love? Or love between people? Or love for the planet? Some things are just beyond words. So as I sit here, wrapping up my thoughts, I'm grateful to not have to deal with a lot of the things that I'm reading about, that I'm overexposed to.